Hello and welcome to another Pocket Talk. Yes, it has been a while since I've done a video like this, and I'm sorry for the delay, but enough of that, let's go. Take a look at this awesome device. Yes, this device is definitely a thing to behold, and is one of my most prized pocket gaming systems. It is maybe the pocket gaming system of my dreams. But what is it, you may ask? Well, it is a GPD Win 2. Chances are, if you're watching this, you know of this device and are doing research on it to determine if this system is worth your money. So, is it worth your money? Well, that's for you to decide after you watch this video. I'm going to talk about my personal experience with owning the GPD Win 2 for about a course of a year. Now before I go on, I just want to mention that I have become more tech savvy and a little bit more knowledgeable about computers since the last video regarding the GPD Win 1. At the time of that video, the GPD Win 1 was my most powerful computer, which was so sad because that device is not a powerful computer. It is a decent computer, but it is weak in terms of stuff that I normally do on computers now. The GPD Win 2, on the other hand, is a pretty great computer. It's not the best computer by any means, nor is it stronger than my main computer that I use for video editing, but it still kicks ass. Now, what I want to focus on in this video are the pros and cons of this device. First, let's talk about the pros. Obviously, the GPD Win 2 could do everything the GPD Win 1 could do, but better. Instead of telling you all the specs of this device, I'll just show you a chart with the specs. I believe an Intel Core M3 and 8 gigs of RAM is decent for a computer. Like I said before, the computer itself is not the best thing in the world, but it's okay. The GPD Win 2 can handle a lot of powerful games like Metal Gear Solid 5, Metal Gear Rising, Final Fantasy X and 10-2, the new Battletoads game, Sleeping Dogs, Tekken 7, and many more. I just named those few because I played those games for a great amount of time, for hours on end, without any weird things happening such as glitching up during gameplay or overheating in the GPD Win 2 like the Win 1 would. Unfortunately, in order for those games to run smoothly, you have to run them using low settings or else they'll look choppy as hell. But hey, these are cool games, and you'll find yourself playing them for hours without the system getting too hot. Another pro is the fact that it is a PC in your pocket. It's very portable and handy to take around when you need to open a quick application. You could run pretty much any Windows application on here that has a 1280 by 720 resolution. You still can't run programs like PowerDirector, which requires computers to have a higher resolution than 1280 by 720, but would you really want to edit videos on this thing? Vegas Pro works if you really wanted to edit videos, but personally I love using two monitors when I edit videos, and looking at bigger screens. I guess if you're away from your main computer and are needing to edit videos on the go, this will come in handy. This device is also great when multitasking. So when you play RetroArch, you can open OBS Studio and record and stream without the GPD getting too hot. It's a huge step from the GPD Win 1, where that thing got super hot whenever a user was multitasking. Speaking of emulation, RetroArch or RetroArch is an awesome emulator. If you set it up right, it could run most old video game systems like the NES, Master System, Game Gear, Game Boy, Neo Geo, PlayStation, Sega Saturn, N64, Dreamcast, and the list goes on. You cannot beat RetroArch when it comes to emulating the old games. However, running Dreamcast on it can be a headache, so I also have Redream on my GPD. Dreamcast is what I mostly play on the GPD Win 2, and it is awesome. I know what a lot of y'all may be thinking. You may be thinking, Why are you running mostly Dreamcast games on this device? Run Call of Duty, run World of Warcraft, Fortnite, Plants vs. Zombies, or whatever y'all play. Why run the old games? Well, here's my answer to you. I paid for this device so I could run or do whatever the hell I want to do on it. You know, I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan, nor do I care about Fortnite, so those games are irrelevant to me. Now, I know a lot of you gamers are asking, well, have you tried PS2 games? No, just because I haven't got around to it. I don't know why. That's an interesting idea. Well, what about GameCube games, you might ask? I have played a GameCube emulator, and I have to say that I am not too impressed. But it's still awesome. It could run games like Zelda, Wind Waker, Tales of Symphonia, and Mario Sunshine as well, but it cannot run one of my most favorite games of all time. It cannot run F-Zero GX that well at all. I have seen some channels running F-Zero GX, but they do not show enough gameplay for the game itself. They only ran it on the Mute City track, and yes, it does run that stage perfectly, but it does not run the rest of the game smoothly at all. F-Zero GX is a game where you need the emulation to be 100% or close to 100% if you want to be able to play it, because it is a super fast game. If there's anything wrong with the frame rate, you cannot play the game at all. If anyone knows how to get F-Zero GX to work on the GPD-Win 2, please let me know. I would like to get this game working perfectly, or at least close to 100%. I would give that person a million grapes if they figured that out for me, because knowledge is true money. I know my experience with GX may sound like a con, but really F-Zero GX is a crazy game to run. The fact that the GPD-Win 2 could even run this game a little bit is amazing to me. GameCube isn't everything to me, nor are the games off of Steam are everything. I'm happy that this device could run RetroArch and Redream perfectly. Another pro is the button layout. I know that some people do not like the two joysticks to the sides of this device, and at first glance I did question it, but it is comfortable when playing games that utilize the two joysticks. The 4 colored buttons are a lot better on here than on the first GPD. The buttons actually feel like buttons, whereas the GPD-Win 1's buttons felt kind of weird, and they got stuck over time due to warping plastic from the system's heat. The shoulder buttons are amazing as well. There's R1, R2, R3, L1, L2, and L3. Yes, R3 and L3 are here in the form of shoulder buttons. I do wish the joypad would click in, but you know what, that's okay. It's not really a big deal to me because I'm the Pocket Master. I am not a gaming snob by any means. The keyboard is like the Win 1's, it's like a BlackBerry phone. The only difference in the Win 2's keyboard is that the F1 through F12 buttons, they're just different. F7 through F12 are combined with F1 through F6. You would have to hold the FN button to access F7 through F12. It's whatever, I really don't care. Start and select are on the keyboard too. Remember how the GPD-Win 1 had 3 switches to toggle back and forth from? Well, the GPD-Win 2 only has 2, because 2 is really all you need for something like this. You could toggle from mouse mode and controller mode. Mouse mode turns the joystick into a mouse, and the shoulder buttons turn into your right and left click. I always thought that was amazing. The screen is another pro. It is very bright and beautiful. I always have the screen's brightness to 100%. It is really a thing to behold. It is also a touchscreen, which can be beneficial when mapping controls to an older emulator. It is also a bit bigger than the Win 1 screen. The battery life is a huge pro for the GPD Win 2. Huge! The battery on this thing can last up to 8 hours if you listen to music or keep it on idle. It lasts up to 6 hours if running simple applications like Photoshop, RetroArch, or Redream, and it could last up to 4.5 hours running games off of Steam. When I say games off of Steam, I mean games like Tekken 7, Sleeping Dogs, Final Fantasy X, Metal Gear Rising, etc. So whenever you go on a trip and you aren't the driver, or you're visiting family you haven't seen in years, this will last you for a good while during those awkward times. The final pro I will mention is the most important thing of all, which is the fan. The fan on the GPD Win 2 does its job properly. It really cools the device down and it is automated, like an actual computer. Unlike the GPD Win 1 where you have to manually flip a switch for the fan speed, which is stupid. The GPD Win 2 doesn't get that hot. I repeat, the GPD Win 2 does not get super hot like the Win 1. The only time this device will get hot is if you run like a Nintendo Switch or a Wii U emulator, which I highly do not recommend you do. And it could get hot if you render videos off of video editing software, but again, use an actual computer if you want to edit videos or consider being serious about video editing. Now let's talk about the cons. I have mentioned how badass this device is, but my god, I have had one hell of an experience for me to consider some cons. Boy, does this thing have some cons. Just take a look at my GPD. It has tape on the sides. Do you want to know why? Well, one day out of nowhere, the screen stopped working. I knew it was the screen's ribbon cable degrading because I have seen ribbon cables in phones and other PCs just mess up randomly due to their ribbon cable melting or just being faulty. In the GPD Win 2's case, the ribbon cable was faulty. There were no signs of melting or tears. It was just a faulty design. So I purchased a new one, replaced it with a hopefully not so faulty one, and now it's working, but replacing it was very difficult. Taking out all the screws of the Win 2 was a real bitch to do. I had to open the back, unhook the battery, take off the screen completely, and install the new ribbon cable by twisting it through a small hole which connected to the screen's connector. Did I ever mention how difficult this was? My god, it was too hard. But I did it. I mean, I had to. Now, I bet you're going to ask this again. Why do you have tape on it? Well, I lost the stupid screws. I do have a few of them installed, but I lost most of them. It really doesn't matter anyways because there may be a time where I have to open it again. I mean, I know there will be a time where I have to open it again. And instead of taking out all those stupid tiny screws, I'd rather take off the freaking tape and the screws that were easy to uninstall. Speaking of replacing things on this device, another con is the price of this device itself and the price of the parts. The parts of the GPD Win 2 can be pricey. Just take a look at the price of the battery. The price ranges from $70 to $100. That is insane. Also, you are limited to where you can buy these parts. They do not sell them everywhere. You're going to have to go to some weird site or the GPD's main store to locate them. So, I mean, use a prepaid card when shopping somewhere you haven't shopped online before because it's very sketchy where I got my ribbon cable. The last con I will mention is the joypad. Like the GPD Win 1's joypad, the joypad on here is complete crap, but the joystick is amazing and it just outweighs the cons of the crappy joypad. I can still play Street Fighter with this device, but you know, I have to be using the joystick, which is okay now. I'm a joystick guy now. If you're still wondering if this device is worth it to you, I could honestly tell you this. It is worth it If you're willing to open this device at some point of the Win 2's lifespan and replace some of the faulty hardware installed, you're going to have to open it no matter what you do with it, because eventually the battery will give out and you'll have to replace it if you want to keep using this device. Well, that's all I wanted to say about the GPD Win 2. I apologize if I haven't played all the games off Steam, but if you're curious of how a certain game runs on the GPD, search it on YouTube. You will more than likely find someone running it or telling you you cannot run it. The purpose of this video was for me to tell you of my personal experiences with this device and lay out the pros and cons of the GPD Win 2. It is definitely a device for a pocket master like me. I'm going to give a quick update since it has been a year or so that I have edited this video. After almost 3 years of owning the GPD Win 2, I can say that the hardware with the unit is acceptable. Yes, my ribbon cable did crap out on me when I bought it, but so far that was the only issue I had with it. I haven't had to replace another ribbon cable, nor have I replaced the battery on this device yet because it is still going strong. I do not really play demanding games on the Win 2 like I did before. Honestly, all I play on it are Dreamcast, MAME, N64, and occasionally Sleeping Dogs. Besides playing video games on this unit, I also use it for digital art or video editing. That is, if I am very desperate to edit a quick video. So most of those thumbnails and banner art you see for my videos and channel are done with my Win 2. Since I am always on the go, I do use this device every day. That's all for this update. Anyways guys, it has been fun. This is Chris the Pocket Master, signing off.